Hey, good morning, everybody. Denise with Lazy K Homestead. Well, hope y'all are having a great day. It's very snowy outside again. I think we got a couple more inches overnight, and I thought I would go ahead and make some apple jelly. As promised, back in the fall, we bought a whole bunch of apples, 3 bushels, as a matter of fact. And if you guys watch my videos, you know I saved the apple peelings, the cores, and any part of the apple that I could. And I put them in the freezer. And I have 3 bags. And I'm going to go ahead and use these for apple jelly. So all you do, it's really a simple process. All you do is you just put them in your big stock pot here. I've got a pretty big one. I don't know the size. It's the biggest one I have. I'm just going to go ahead and put all these in here, and they'll thaw out. And I'm just going to put them on low, and I'm going to let them create their own juice. Now, I'll watch and make sure in case I do need to add a little bit of water because I don't want them to scorch or anything. But this is how I make our apple jelly. And it's a really frugal way, and you know me, I'm frugal, to use every part of whatever you're harvesting, whether it be an animal, vegetable, or fruit. So this is that. Let me bring you over so you can see what I've got here. There is probably, I don't know, 4-gallon bags of apple peelings in there. So I'll put that on low, and I'll be back in a little bit to show you the next step. It's super easy. Oh, before I let you go, I am going to use Mrs. Wager's. This is sugar-free pectin. Now, you can just use the apples. They do create their own pectin. So I don't always trust that because I've had not the greatest luck with fruit making their own pectin. Even though I know it's in there, it doesn't always set for me. So I do use the pectin that you buy. And this is sugar-free. And the reason I use sugar-free is because it uses so much less sugar. And let me see what this says here. For apple jelly, inside you have your instructions, and it's a little packet like so. You guys have never made jelly or jams before. And you just look on here for your jelly, and there's apple. And let me see, I will need 2 to 3 cups of sugar, which is great because with regular pectin, that's not sugar-free, you need 6 to 8. So I'm cutting that in half. It helps the pocketbook. It helps the waistline. And so to me, it's a win-win situation. So anyways, I'll be back in a little bit. And while we're waiting on the apple juice to get done, Willis is cutting up a loin that we got from the store yesterday, and this is what we do.
No, I went and killed that hog yesterday out there in the woods.
That would have been a big wild hog. How long was that thing? 3 foot?
Yeah. That's the way to buy pork. If you like pork chops.
Yeah, look how lean that is.
Cheaper.
We get a lot. About 40 pork chops out of one loin.
Yeah.
And it's just the 2 of us. And
buy one of these last
what's that, about a ½ inch?
long time.
You're cutting them? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the very end there, where you can't really make pork chops, he'll put it in, chop it up for sausage later when we get a bunch.
Yeah, usually there's a lot more fat on these and get more sausage meat off of them, but they've trimmed this one up pretty good.
Yeah, I'll have to watch the next time I buy them that I have a little bit more fat on them. I really didn't look. But this was $19 for this pork loin yesterday. And if we get 40 pork chops and sausage meat, I mean, we really are doing well being self-sufficient and frugal.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully, the plan is for us to get our hog pen. Well, we're going to move it. We haven't had hogs for a couple years now. And we're going to move it up to higher ground. So, because we have such a wet property, we don't like them to have to be in the wet. And we'll be able to raise our own hogs again.
Yeah.
And that's fun.
It is. It may cost quite a bit to feed one, but
Yeah. But you know, in the summertime, you have your whole garden in there. And even in the fall, you've got all that you can throw in there. And they do well eating all the slop.
yeah.
And that's the way we used to raise hogs when I was a kid too, and I think y'all did too. And we've done it ourselves. We raised hogs for several years here. But the property is so wet that we just felt like it was not being good for the hog to go through the winter with this kind of weather. Even though we did have a place where they could come out of it, it still wasn't good enough in our opinion. So see, he's cutting off all those ends, and he'll throw that in a bowl, and then we'll just freeze it for
Sausage.
For a later date when we make sausage. Yep.
Takes a lot of sage and black pepper to make good sausage.
Yeah. And we have our own sage.
We put what, a half cup of sage in that one batch we made?
Yeah, that was a lot though. It made 4.5 pounds.
Yeah. Oh, wrong bowl.
That's easy to do. So anyways, I thought I'd show you guys what Willis is doing while I'm still waiting on the apple juice to get done. And while we're waiting, I'll show you what it looks like over here. I did have to add water. There you go. Added about 5 cups to boil down, and I've got everything ready over here. I'm going to put it through a colander that's in a bowl, and I've got a piece of t-shirt here. Of course, it's clean, and I will sieve it through that. I've got my 3 cups of sugar ready when I'm ready to do my jelly itself. And there's the that sugar-free pectin, and I couldn't help it. I had to take it out of the packet and put in one of these little pretties I got for Christmas. So we'll be back in a few minutes, and I'll show you what we're going to do with this apple juice and how to make juice for your apple jelly. Okay, so the juice is ready for me to strain it. So I'm just going to go ahead and take that lid off. Now this is hot. You can see the steam coming out, so y'all be careful when you're doing something like this. And all I'm doing is just taking all this pulp, which it is now, because it was all the old cores and peels and things like that from my apples. And it just makes the most wonderful, intense flavored apple juice. You can do that with your peaches and all kinds of things like that. And that's what I like to do. So I just continue to put it in this colander here. Let me get this down here so y'all can see what I'm doing. There you go. And it will make juice. The juice will come through, and then I will strain it one more time because I'm making jelly and I don't want any pulp in here. Because I want it to be really nice, clear jelly juice. So now I think I've gotten to the point where I can pour this. Willis and I are both doing things today. He's got to leave. So we've got the counters full with stuff. There you go. I've poured a lot in there. Let's see if I can get all that in there. There we go. And I'm just going to let that sit there. And I'm not going to mash it or smash it or anything. So like I said, I don't want any pulp. I just want juice. And I've got a really big bowl here. So I'm just going to kind of bring this t-shirt up a little bit so it captures anything that fell. So I'll just let this and see the juices down here. And it's just going to be, I think, a really beautiful kind of pinky yellow color. This is Wine Sap, Golden Delicious, and Fuji from last year when we went to Pikeville to Wooten's Apple House. So I'll be back in a few. Okay, so I went ahead and I put this through another t-shirt, clean t-shirt, to get out any kind of pulp, and it was pretty clear. So I'm going to go ahead and use what I've got. And I've got 6 cups, right here, 6 cups. And I'm going to pour it in my clean pan. And now I'm using like I said, I'm using the sugar-free Mrs. Wager's pectin. Now this is a little bit different than if you use Chert Gel or Mrs. Wager's regular pectin. And you really need to read your instructions well with this. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I put my 6 cups of juice in here, and I'm going to stir in my pectin, and you let this sit for 5 to 10 minutes. And then you turn on the heat, and then you let it come to a rolling boil. So I'm going to go ahead and let it sit there for 5 to 10 minutes, and we will be back to show you what we're going to do there. So in the meantime, while we're waiting for 5 to 10 minutes for the pectin, I've got my lids and rings in my water, and I'm going to put that on the stove and let that simmer, because I do like to make sure they are warm before I put them on my canning. A lot of people don't do that anymore, but I do. I'm old school, and I look at it like if it's broke, don't fix it. And I'm going to fill each one of my jelly jars with hot water, and these have been washed and sterilized prior to this video. And I'm just going to let them sit in here until it's time for me to put the jelly in there. I just love making jelly and jam and things for my family. It just makes me feel good about it, and knowing that I was able to use the apple seeds, well, there are seeds in there, apple cores, apple peelings, and any part of the apple. Again, you just core your apples. I was making apple butter and apple sauce this fall, and I just saved everything and popped it in the freezer, and here we are in January, and I'm making jelly with it. So see, you guys can be really frugal and make things, and it doesn't take that long. I mean, all I did was put it on the stove and put some water in there and just let it simmer down to where I knew that I had some juice for the jelly. So hope you guys will try this recipe. All right, I'll be back in a few. Okay, I've got my juice to a full rolling boil, and I'm going to go ahead and pour in my 3 cups of sugar. And like I said earlier when I started this video, I really like using the sugar-free pectin because it saves the sugar, which makes it a lot more economical, and it's better on the waistline, which hopefully one day I'll find mine again. So you put this in here and you mix it up. The sugar's all nicely mixed right now, stirring constantly, and it will come to a boil. I'm just going to stop mixing for 1 second to see where we are. Yeah, still need to, it says stirring constantly. Just make sure I've got that right. Okay. Add sugar. Bring to a full boil, stirring constantly. So I need to stir constantly while this comes to a full boil. And then we will let it boil for 1 minute exactly without me stirring. And at that point, we will ladle into our jars. I've got my water bath canner over here ready to go with water in it, simmering. Now, if y'all don't have a water bath canner, you could use a stock pot like this. Just make sure you put a towel in the bottom because you don't want your jars to, when they're boiling in here, they'll kind of clank together and hit the bottom of the metal, and they could break. So you just want to make sure you have I use a tea towel, fold it a couple times to make, it covers the whole circumference of the stock pot. But I found this at the thrift shop for $10. It didn't have the rack, but I had the rack from my old one, which I saved. And I'm always saving everything. My daughter Holly's like, Mom, I can't help it. I was raised by a man who was from the Depression, so it all comes handy someday. Okay, we are at a full rolling boil. Let's see if I can bring it over here for you guys to see through all that steam. And I'm going to time it for 1 minute. And then we will put it in our jars. And I've got my jars right here. They're filled with the hot water still, ready to go. My lids, I've got everything ready. When you're making jelly, it's really important that you have everything together and ready to go because it's kind of a fast process. Unlike other canning where you kind of have a little time, this, you need to do it to where you can get it in the jars, get it sealed, and put it in your water bath canner. At least that's the way I was always taught years ago, and that's just the way I continue to do. All right, we have just a little bit more to go. And I'll get this out of the way. Get my ladle ready. Put my instructions over there because I don't need them anymore. Let's see, I've got a ladle in here that I want. My dishwasher died, so I'm back to doing dishes by hand. So that was a treat for a while. We'll have to probably get a new one because that was a brand new pump on there. So I don't know. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and turn off the heat. And I'm going to start with this, using my canning funnel in my jar. Let me see if I can put you guys down a little bit here so you can actually see the process. Yeah, there we go. You don't have to see me. Okay, it's still foaming. Now, you can add a little butter to this and it will take off the foam, but I don't usually do that because the foam doesn't bother me. But we're going to just ladle our beautiful juice. Oh wow, look at that color, isn't that pretty? Into our hot jar. And you want to leave a 1-inch head space, which I'm going to do. And I'm going to go ahead and fill these others. Now it said it makes anywhere from 5 to 6 cups. So go ahead and see where that is. I know I had 6 cups when I started. Wow, that's a pretty color. The wine sap, the red of the wine sap, and the yellow and orange of the Fuji, and the golden delicious. That is so pretty. You guys see that color? I think it's just fascinating, the color of nature, because that's exactly what this is. And nature just gives back to us all the time. God gives us all these things that we can use. And yeah, I could have thrown the cores and the peels and everything to the chickens, which would have come back to me in eggs. But you know what? I just wanted to make the jelly because this way I don't have to go out and buy it. I know what's in it. And that makes me happy. Makes our family happy. All right, I guess I'll be filling this last pint up. Yep. And I'll add, I've got just a teeny bit left in here. That one needs more, and I just always go around and just try to, yeah, I can put a little bit back in there, and I think we're done. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, that gave me, let's see, these are 4 ounces, so that's pretty good, I think. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and get my piece of wet paper towel. And again, this is sticky, you guys, so you want to make sure you wipe around your rims and on top here, because you want to give this the best opportunity to seal that you can. I just use hot water on my paper towel. And you might be saying, well, this doesn't seem like such a fast process, but it really is, because I'm really not letting them stand very long. And we're doing hot to hot, so I'm going to go ahead and move this over here. Bring my boiling water bath canner over here. Okay, I have one more that I need to wipe off. Okay, that's good to go. And we'll just put these lids right on top. Hope you can see what I'm doing here. I'm not really paying attention to the camera, so I think you guys can see what I'm doing. All right, 5. And then we will go ahead and make sure they're on there and put our rings on. Now that is a little bit hot, and you just want to hand tighten them. You don't want to go any tighter than that, because these do flex in the water, and that can cause your jar to burst. So you just hand tighten it. I know a lot of people used to tighten them down as hard as you could, but then you have accidents, and you don't want that when you're canning. Okay, so here we are. Just go ahead and give it one more little. All right, and I'm going to use this. My tongs, your canning tongs, one of your most important tools when canning. And we will just go ahead and put this in here. And you have to make sure that your jars have at least 1 inch of water over the jars when you put it in here. And it's not going to hurt. I'm going to have to add some water, which is no problem. Okay. And I've got hot water right here from where I had for my lids. And I've got hot water there. And I will have to go ahead and get some more hot water from the sink. Now everything right now is acclimating itself to the boiling water bath, because everything's hot to hot. And these, once it comes to a boil, you'll time it for 10 minutes. And that will be it. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I've got it on medium-high for now. I'm going to put my lid on there. And like I said, when it comes to a boil, then you're going to go ahead and time it for 10 minutes. And then when you can handle the jars, you're going to take them out and put them on your tea towel and let them sit for 12 to 24 hours. So we'll be back. Okay, guys, here's the finished product. Isn't that beautiful? I had a little teeny bit left that had already set in my pan, and I put it with some butter on a piece of homemade sourdough bread, and me and Willis are going to chow down. Hey, I hope you like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you real soon. Bye.